To me, a blogger is someone that has a site that just write about, their thoughts on things that they like or love or, dislike. From a reader's perspective, to me, Black romance is a romance between two Black people. That's it. That's all. Self-publishing is where I feel like readers can get more authentic stories. In the beginning, it was just something to do. I just wanted to have, a blog just to to put out there, about, the books that I liked or didn't so much like. But eventually it became something where when I was blogging, I wanted to see more stories that revolved around Black people, or other people of color. When I first started blogging, I didn't see a whole lot of that. That kind of became my thing that I wanted to do. You may have friends to lovers. You may have a marriage of convenience. You may have enemies to lovers romance. You may have a secret baby, thing going on in a story. Those are tropes. And my favorite trope is I love friends to lovers, especially if they're childhood friends. I love that. From a reader's perspective, I feel like editing is a big issue in that I've come across some books I just be like, oh, and I've talked to other readers where they strictly stop reading a book based on the editing inside of the book. So I wish authors would invest more into editing, from a reader's perspective. That's the advice that I would give. Like, it's expensive, but it is an expense that folks should invest in.
I wanted to be an author because of my grandmother. My grandmother was the one who actually inspired me to start writing when I was a little girl. I used to talk her ear off a lot, and she would hand me a pen and paper and say, go write it down and I'll read it later. So the reason I write romance is that I believe it's a key element to every story that I tell. That's what drives us in life, I believe, is the connection with other people, and romance and relationships is a big part of that. So while I don't make a big issue or deal of the romance in my stories, they're always there. When I started writing books, I wanted to represent the world I grew up in, and I grew up in Chicago, which is so diverse in culture. When people ask me, do I only write Black people? Like, no, that doesn't really make sense to me that my books would only be Black people. It has to be something that I see in the world around me, and that's POC in general. What made me decide to self-publish was the fact that I'm a DIY girl. I wanted to control the process, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about publishing. Traditional publishers weren't looking for the material that I was trying to produce when I started writing. And KDP came on board and gave us this opportunity to put our stories out in the world without the barriers that the big publishers put up. I think a lot of mistakes that new authors make is that they don't take into consideration the reader right away. So research the current market, the genres, and actually take the time to reach out to your readers and figure out what they're liking right now, and make sure that you're creating something that they're going to be interested in. I've actually recently launched my own publication company, and we are going to be releasing some anthologies and short story collections so that I can help promote other authors. So Jinn is actually my imaginings of the genie from the story of Aladdin. When I was a little girl, I was obsessed with it, and I was always fascinated with the genie. I wanted to know what happened to him because Aladdin is mortal and he's not. So the story of Jinn is really just what I imagine happened to the genie long after Aladdin is no longer here. And the scene today is actually an origin scene of him and his wife, who is really his driving force for everything that happens in the series. He's there to protect her and to save her from a greater evil. And I'm just so excited to see this come to life.
Nitty, why are you up so early?
Up with the sun, like any other day.
Oh, yes, the sunrise. How was it today?
Beautiful, like always.
I can say the same about the sight before me now.
You flatter me.
I tell you nothing but the truth. These lips, they can never part to deliver a lie to your ears.
I love you, Jinn.
Natara, you will have my heart for as long as the sun rises to kiss the sky, and for an eternity after it fades.
Are you going into town today?
Yes, I think today will be a good day for the market.
Promise me you won't do anything reckless, Jen.
I cross my heart. I will never do anything to compromise us.
Tell me.
Yes. Yes.